Hello, I'm David Hunt, owner of GameMasters Guild, welcoming you back to another episode of Lorcana, Not the Meta. Today I'm going to look at my Amethyst and Steel Lorcana deck, and I call it the Queen's Gambit. It's a 61 card deck, and let's jump right in and take a look. First up, I have some one-cost Fire the Cannons, where I can deal 2 damage to the chosen character. And these are nice. Just about everybody uses them if they're going to put steel in their deck. There is a cool Captain Hook card that allows you to retrieve these, but I don't have Captain Hook, that particular Captain Hook in this deck whatsoever. Downside, they're not inkable, but super useful, and they're pretty easy to use because they're only 1 cost. Next up, I have Archimedes. I recently tuned this deck a little bit, and I put Archimedes in there because he's a 2/2, and I needed some good first turn characters, so I put Archimedes in there just to kind of give me some more little viability early in the game. I also have Reflection for 1, so a character with cost 1 or more, like Archimedes, can sing the song for free, and I look at the top 3 cards of my deck, and I put them back on top of my deck in any order. A lot of times I end up inking that anyways, but it's kind of nice first turn. Sometimes I might use that just if I think I need to. I will probably switch that out at some point because it's just not as useful as I want it to be, at least not in this deck. Next up, all my 2-cost cards. I have Break, Banish Chosen Item. It's inkable, so if someone's not playing any kind of items, then I'm okay. I can go ahead and just put in my inkwell and I'm fine. But it's really good against people who run Eye of Fates, so basically any Sapphire deck that's good against. So if they're running Eye of Fates, or say, what's the other card? Fishbone Quill, that's it, Fishbone Quill. So it's really good for getting rid of those cards because those are some pesky cards. Also Sardine Can, where it gives everybody ward, I think it is, at some point. Jafar, he's a 2-cost, he's a 3/2, so he can inflict a decent bit of damage and take out most characters with 1 go. And during this turn, during my turn, he gains evasive, which is nice. Huntsman, 2-cost, he's a 1/1. I like it. I really like him because he quests for 2. He also has a nice ability where whenever he quests, I can choose to draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So I don't have to, but I can, and it's nice that he quests for 2. Magic Mirror, 2-cost. However, he's not inkable, so again, kind of another potentially dead card in my hand if it's not the right time to play him. I can exert him, and for 4 ink, I can draw a card. Nice to get out there early game. Robin Hood, again, not inkable, but he's a 1/3, and he can deal, if I exert him, he can deal 1 damage to a chosen character. Not too bad. Madam Mim, she's Madam Mim Snake. There's a couple different versions of her that see a lot of play. She definitely sees play in the meta. She's a 2-cost, and she's a 3/3, and when I play this character, I have to banish her or return another chosen character of mine to my hand. So she's definitely good in that aspect. And there are definitely some other cards, and I got a play set of her, which is 4, and there's definitely some cards in this deck that she would work very well with, and that's why I've got her in there. Let's look at my 3-cost cards. Sorcerer's Spellbook, 3-cost, not inkable, and I can exert it, spend 1, and gain a lore. It's a pretty nice card. I like it because I can just exert it and spend 1 to gain a lore, but also at the same time, I used to have a playset. I only have 3 because usually by the time I do the 4th one, the game was going to be over anyways, or this was not the card that I needed. And I just took 1 out, swapped it out with something that was inkable, just so that way I had a little more options, and I didn't feel like I had a lot of dead weight in my deck. Because even though all these are good cards, throughout the game, as you play, you quickly learn that sometimes having too much of a good thing is a problem. Arthur, case in point, he's a 1/3, he only costs 3. Whenever this character quests, you can return another chosen character of yours to your hand to gain 2 lore. I mean, that's big, and I figure he's a key card. I gotta have 4 of them. The only problem is because he's not inkable. You know, I might already have an Arthur out, and I don't need another one, but I feel compelled to have 4 because he is such a good card, and he sees a lot of play. Next up, I have Madam Mim. She's a 3-cost, 4/3. This is the Fox version, and when I play this character, I have to banish her or return another chosen character of mine to my hand, and she's got Rush, so she can challenge the turn that she's played, which is great. And I've got 2 of her. Probably down the road, I might even swap an Arthur for another Madam Mim, depending. I've got the wardrobe, 3/4 for 3. A lot of characters like Madam Mim the Snake, Madam Mim the Fox, Arthur. They're 3 costs, or not 3 costs, but they have 3 strength. So many characters have 3 strength, and it's pretty easy to, swing with Madam Mim the Snake to take out the Fox or Arthur. But with the wardrobe, they have to commit 2 characters to get rid of her, or maybe some direct damage like a couple of Fire the Cannons to get rid of her. So she's a little tougher, a little harder to get rid of, even though she only quests for 1 lore. She's pretty solid. At some point, I'll probably replace her depending on what else comes along. Again, not playing the meta, so just kind of playing what I like. 3 cost inkable, Strength of Raging Fire. Character with cost 3 or more can exert themselves to sing the song for free. So I could use Arthur or the wardrobe. Could exert them to deal damage to a chosen character equal to the number of characters I have in play. Kind of nice way to get around resist. I won't say to get around it so much as to be able to do more damage to overcome the resist, so that way you can get rid of those characters that have the resist ability, which is sometimes very tough to do. Elsa, she's a 3 cost. This is the Snow Queen, and she's a 2/3. And I can exert her to exert a chosen opposing character. And if you've played enough, then you've come to a moment where someone will play a character, and since they're still drawing, they're not exerted. If you could only eliminate that character, it would buy you 1 more turn and maybe win you the game. But since you can't because they're unexerted, you're stuck and you're going to lose. But with Elsa, and I've got 3 of her, you'd be able to do that and hopefully give yourself another turn and maybe even win the game. Next up, I have Maleficent. She's a 2/2 for 3. What's really nice is when I play her, I get to draw cards. So not only am I taking a card out of my hand and playing it and getting a character on the field, but now she replaces herself in my hand, which is nice. More draw power, and I've got most definitely a play set of Maleficents. So if you're playing Amethyst, she's a really good card to have. Next, I have Friends on the Other Side. 3 cost, totally inkable, and a character with cost 3 or more can exert themselves to sing the song for free, and guess what? Replenishes my hand. Draw 2 cards, and I have a play set of Friends on the Other Side in this deck. It's a must-have. I've even toyed with putting this in some other decks. Next up, Let the Storm Rage On. Again, good creature removal, or character removal, I mean. Deal 2 damage to the chosen character, and I get to draw cards, so it replaces itself. The downside is it is uninkable, which really increases my total of uninkable cards in here. I've got almost 20 uninkable cards in here, which can make this deck sometimes kind of cumbersome because I'm playing cards that I like in here. Smash. It's a 3 cost inkable. Deal 3 damage to chosen character. Excellent card. If you're playing Steel, you got to be playing Smashes. I'm just saying. I might at some point swap out and Let the Storm Rage On. Since I have other card draw possibilities, I may increase to 3 or even 4 Smashes because they're good. And even though I might not be able to get the draw card, if I swap 2 of these for 2 more Smashes, I miss on a card draw, but since I have other ways to draw a card, probably not too worried about it. Okay, and I'm going to pick these up in a certain way here. All right. And coming up is, and actually I'm going to put up Snake, Madam Mim the Fox, Arthur, because next up is my 4 cost. I only have Merlin the Goat. I have 4 of them. There are 4 or 3, quest for 1, but whenever I play the character and whenever he leaves play, I gain a lore. Super, super nice. So if I were to play him, and let's say, when he comes out into play, I gain a lore. When I quest with him, I gain a lore. If someone were to challenge him and defeat him, he leaves play, he's banished, I still gain a lore. And then, on top of that, I've got Arthur. Let's bring these a little closer so you can see. I know there's a little bit of a glare. Apologies for that. Okay, so Arthur, whenever he quests, I can return a chosen character of mine to my hand to gain 2 lore. So he quests, I return Merlin to my hand. Not only do I gain a lore from Arthur questing, I return a character to my hand, so I gain 2 more lore, so that's 3. And then, if I have enough ink sitting out, I can cast Merlin, gain another lore for him coming into play. That's 4. And if I had enough ink, I could even play Madam Mim the Snake or Madam Mim the Fox, put him back in my hand again, and if I really had enough lore, I could potentially play him again in one turn and get 5 lore. Odds are good by that time I probably wouldn't be able to get him out, because that requires a definitely, without any kind of ink ramp, without having enough ways to get extra ink out in the play in this particular deck, I probably won't be able to throw him back in my hand, but at least, throw him back in my hand, but at least I'd have him ready for next turn so I could play him again, which would be really nice. And that's not counting any other characters I may have swinging to go on a quest to gain me lore. Very, very handy, very nice, lots of combo opportunities. You definitely want to be looking out for Madam Mim the Fox, Snake, Arthur. Prices come down. He used to be 20 bucks. I think he's hovering around 10. Most of these other cards are not expensive at all. And we're going to come up to my 5-cost cards, which isn't very many. Whole New World. It's a 5-cost, and a character with 5 or more cost can exert themselves to sing this song for free. I've only got 5 cards, 5 characters that can actually do this, but so I kind of gamble on this card, and it is a 5-cost. I mean, man, I could do 2 of these or cast a Merlin and a Fire the Cannons in exchange for this, but it's nice to refill your hand. The only downside is your opponent can do the same thing, because they get to the benefit of this card as well. But it's definitely a good card to have for sure. Next I have the Queen, Wicked and Vain, and this deck is named after her. I just thought she was cool. I want to build a deck around her. That's actually the main thing, is she's one of my favorite characters. So I put 4 in the deck, even got a cold foil of her. And she's a 4/5, so she's got a lot of resiliency. And I can take out, and I have taken out 2 or 3 different characters and challenges before she finally gets eliminated, either because I keep challenging and taking damage, or someone finally has had enough and uses Smash on her or something like that to finish her off, or a couple of Fire the Cannons in exchange with a character that maybe I just challenged. What's nice is, of course, I can tap her to draw a card, and I've used her successfully on many occasions. Very, very nice. Just I say tap, that's an old Magic term, exert her to draw a card. But she's pretty solid. I like her a lot. I wouldn't necessarily have 4 in my deck if it wasn't for the fact that I like her so much. For most people, they'd probably be happy with 2. My last card I have, just for fun, is Madam Mim the Purple Dragon for 7. What's nice is she's inkable, so if I got her first turn and the rest of my hand is great, I'll just ink her and not worry about it. She has Evasive, and she quests for 4 lore. She's a 5/7, super sustainable. A lot of these characters, once you hit 5, 6, 7 cost, they're really hard to deal with once they enter the field, and it can be a nightmare, because then your players are trying to your other opponents trying to figure out what to do to stop you. What's nice is when I play this character, I banish her unless I return 2 chosen characters of mine to my hand. So again, if I play her and I have these out in play, I play her and then put these back to my hand, and then I can play Merlin again to gain a lore, play Madam Mim the Fox, put him back in my hand, and then I'm ready for next turn to play him again. Also, what is also very sneaky too is, let's say I've already swung with Merlin. Let's say I have 2 Merlins, which is not unreasonable. I've got 2 Merlins and they swing for a lore. They manage to survive my opponent's turn, and then on my turn I play Madam Mim Purple Dragon. I can bounce them both back into my hand, and not on the, and you know, there's a lot of different ways. It's not necessarily just on my next turn, but let's say I don't cast anything. Let's say I already have Merlin out in the field. I may not have been clear enough. So my turn comes around, I've already got both those Merlins out there, and on this turn, let's say I play an ink to give myself that 7th ink that I need to cast Madam Mim. What I would do in order to protect my Merlins and get the most use out of them, I would quest, get the 2 lore, play Madam Mim, bounce them both back to my hand. That way now they have to deal with this obscenely large character, and I still have my Merlins, so I can cast them again to get that extra lore. And on the next turn, following that, I could play this, pull one out, and since I had enough to cast her anyways, that means I've still got probably 4 ink floating around to cast him again, you see how quickly this can get out of hand. It's very, very nice. Again, a lot of this is all meta. And again, I don't necessarily play the meta, but if you're playing Amethyst, you probably can't avoid some of those combos. But not to say that's wrong. There's nothing wrong with the meta at all. It's just I like to build decks that not quite everybody else is building. Just to have fun, because it's a fun card game. And I don't feel like I have to chase all the same cards everybody else is chasing. And sometimes I feel that that's opportunity if you're playing something that no one's expecting. Will it win you every single tournament? Probably not. It's not what these decks are geared for. It's not what they're about. They're more fun than anything else. But there are a few things to be learned from some of these decks that I have. And there are elements in there that, while maybe not meta, you can definitely incorporate in your other decks with your other colors. All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching my second episode of Lorcana, Not the Meta. And this has been my Queen's Gambit deck. I'm Dave Hunt, owner of GameMasters Guild, telling you to stay safe, play great games, and I'll see you real soon.